Hello, Patricia, coming to you for a quick second. Last week I did a live stream with Shannon Griffin, American who has been living in Paris for the last 3 years. And it was incredible, full of insights. And if you missed it, you missed a good one. This video here is just a sampling of what you can expect to see in the full live stream replay. So, the move was a big deal, a heavy lift that first year, the second year. Third year. What was, when we spoke earlier this month, we talked about making friends. Because that's a big concern for people who are making a move abroad. Like they don't know anybody. It's hard to, people hear about how it's hard to break into the friend community for French friends. Can you share what your experience has been in making friends in Paris? Yeah.
I would say, what do I start with? I would agree. It's hard to make friends. You realize that we really make friends at certain periods of our life, and then also in certain situations. And when you make yourself an expat, you've removed almost all of those. So one way to make friends is through work. But working as an English teacher, I have very little contact with French colleagues. And the first year anyway, I think I really had this idea, oh, I don't want to just move there and be with Anglophones all the time. Also, I work all day in English, so I'd like to use my French and be with French people. That really limited me. It was definitely a mistake. Expats are your go-to for everything, for friends, friendships, for every kind of paperwork you would need to do. France, I think, is particular for that. It's also convoluted that you really need support. And expats, French people don't have to do any of those things. They don't have to renew a visa. They have no idea what that means or how stressful it is. You really need the support of the expat community. And in France, anyway, you really need to know other Americans because those are the only people who have to do the things you need to do, like file both French and US taxes, or, what about my social security, or if I invest, or if I sell my house in the US, or just all these things. And they are a wealth of information that I denied myself access to for like a full year. And I think, as do a lot of people who move outside the US, you're like, oh, well, I don't really, that's why I'm leaving the US. But what I forgot is, yeah, all the other people like me who wanted to live outside the US, they're expats here. Some of them are here. So, of course, these would be people I would be friends with. So that's the first thing about, I would say, about making friends. Absolutely use the expat community, and specifically the American community. I think that probably depends a lot on where you are, how big or small of a city, but I think probably it's the same in big cities everywhere. It doesn't depend on the country. Because the city's so big, because people are more transient or isolated in their little corners and boxes, you're really going to need expats, and specifically American expats, to kind of welcome you in, because they know. Also, that's the other thing. They're so welcoming because they know, oh, no French people are welcoming you. We know. So yeah, come. And I've been invited to do all kinds of things since I started reaching out, like with people of every age, right? So, I started going to things, and one of the things was I was introduced to this walking group, and all the women are like, I would say 8 to 15 years older than me. And it does not matter. And sometimes they have people 15 years younger than me that join them also, because they're just so like warm and welcoming. And they're all deeply connected into the French community too. So it's another way to eventually meet French people through them, right? So that's another, it doesn't limit you like, oh, I'm only hanging out with expats, so now I'm only going to know these expats. I do think that probably is also a function of your age and your situation. So one way for sure you can meet people, including locals, is if you are working um, in the language. But a second way is school. So, like, if you have young kids, it's actually not a problem. You're going to meet all the parents at the school. But once your kids are in high school, I don't know any parents at my kids' school. So it cuts off another place you're going to meet them. And then, as I said, for me, I'm not working. I mean, almost all my colleagues are Anglophones, they're expats. Almost no one is a French person. But even there, inevitably, now that I've been here 3 years, I've met other English teachers who are French. So that also is like an entry point work. Um, and then the last way I would say, and I think we often forget this in the chaos of doing a big move like this, go do the things that you used to do in the US that you love. And you will find people that you'll like because they also love that thing. So like I'm also a yoga teacher, but I was practicing yoga in a community of people until I moved. And I did not go to a yoga studio here for like a full year. And I look back, I'm like, I wish someone had been here to be like, go to the yoga studio. Even my friends back home were like, go to the yoga studio. What are you doing? But I was just so tired. I couldn't like get up the energy to go pursue any hobbies, honestly. Um, but that's where I've started to meet people. I mean,
Right.
the few times that the one studio that I found not so far away from me, um, I immediately met a whole group of women who invited me in, and we'd go for coffee every week after this yoga class. Also, all expats, but from all over the world, and really interesting. And I was like, oh, why did I wait so long to do this? Like, this would have been a great way to meet people and make some friends.
Yeah, well, I think you had said though that you were just so busy with everything else that, you know, that was just not something that you prioritized. You know,
Yeah.
looking back, as you say, hindsight, right? It's 2020, right? It would have been great. Uh, I did kind of like the opposite, right?
Mm,
I didn't want to be around the expat community
right.
because my goal was to become fluent in French. And
Yeah.
I have seen like people who do that and then never get to a certain level of French.
That's
And so,
right.
yeah. And so now I'm at this place. Well, a couple years ago, I was like, okay, yeah, that's fine now. I feel comfortable that I've made enough progress that I'm going to get to where I want to go. But that was my thinking about the whole expat community.
Yeah.
This question kind of talks about this. Miss Sierra 222. Did you speak French when you arrived in Paris?
Yes. So, and that also was, it made it less a concern for me, as you
Mhm.
said, like, oh, I don't want to only have English speaking friends and never learn French. I already had good French when I moved here. But it doesn't help me meet French people. I mean, it's the better my French gets, in fact, the more, because now I can do everything in French. I can be with a whole group of French people for a weekend. I don't even really get tired anymore. I understand everything. I can talk about anything. I mean, my French isn't perfect. Like, I still sometimes feel like I sound like a fifth grader, but I can talk about anything in French, and I can even like hear two conversations at the same time in French and kind of follow both of them.
Mhm.
Um,
That's
but
good.
I mean, this has been a lot of years, and I did the 5 years before I moved. So I lived here for a year in my 20s, and my French was quite good then. I didn't really keep it up, but I did enough here and there to not lose it. And then my kids went to a French immersion school in the States, and that they started doing that like, how old are they now? Like 13 years ago. So as soon as they started doing that, I kind of had a re-entry into French, and I would talk to the teachers there in French. I started using it more. Eventually I started teaching there. And so the 5 years before I moved, I was teaching at the school at that point in French, And then I made it kind of my mission, like, okay, every day I'm doing French on top of this. I would watch a movie or a series, listen to a podcast, listen to music. Anytime I was alone, anywhere, I was listening to something in French. So I put in a lot of work to get to that place. But my French still improved from the time I got here until now. Um, but so all of that is to say, I realize now, as good as my French is, most of my barriers now in communication in French, I realize, oh yeah, because it's all the unspoken, the connotation, the historical or cultural references that just go right over my head. There's so much that I still don't understand as a result of that. Like, you really have to live in it for so long before you can really cross over all those barriers. I mean, it's crazy. And with some of the, like, not work, but like administrative related stuff, honestly, I sometimes think, wow, I feel like I'd be better off if I did not speak French. Because inevitably they would have to help me. They speak English, they just don't like to. And I mean, sometimes I read these forms or I'm doing something online and I'm just like, I understand every word here and I do not know what this means. So in other words, you still need so much help to be to understand and to be understood, even when you speak really well. It's kind of crazy.
Yeah. So you spoke about your, all the challenges you faced, you know, and this was your dream. You made it, but there were lots of struggles that you had to manage through. What were some of the things that allowed you to stay the course? Because you could have gone back, right? You could be like, uncle, right?
Right? I did. I had two different periods where I almost went back. um, and one of the things that kept me going was my dog.
Now, if you enjoyed that, be sure to click the link here and watch the entire live stream replay.